Welcome back to Sleepy Finance. Tonight's story is about artificial intelligence, but not the kind that makes your life easier. No. This is about the kind that replaces your job, automates your dreams, and pays you in, well, not money. It's a slow descent into the future of work, or what's left of it. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin with a time when your job actually involved other humans. If you're digging into this twisted journey, get comfy, put that burrito blanket in your face, and go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, but only if you genuinely like my content. Act 1. The glorious history of getting screwed by work. Before AI took your job, a long line of kings, pharaohs, factories, and floppy-haired consultants beat it to the punch. You think you've had it rough with your inbox full of passive-aggressive meeting invites? Consider the caveman who woke up with an empty stomach and no Google Calendar to blame. There was one rule: survive or die. There was no optional internship or unpaid ramen-fueled grind session. Your boss was a bear, and if you failed, you would star in its next family reunion dinner. Life began as a brutal lesson in supply and demand. If you couldn't make fire or catch dinner, you froze or starved. Imagine waking in the dawn chill, groggy, yet fully aware that any moment a saber-toothed predator might turn your sluggish morning into a frantic sprint. There wasn't a single motivational poster in the cave reminding you to crush it. Just a looming beast that didn't care if you'd only slept 5 hours. You learned quickly that in this gig economy of one, benefits were non-existent, job security was myth, and the only performance review was whether your carcass smelled ripe enough to attract scavengers. Yet human creativity persisted. Even the first offices had a primitive communal vibe. Clans settled near rivers for water and abundant game. Information circulated by grunts and hand gestures, and every so often someone discovered that smashing a rock one way yielded flakes sharp enough to slice meat. That was the Stone Age tech boom, and the early adopters, those handy with a flint, rose to the top of the social hierarchy. Your executive interview was a dance of display and skill demonstration. Catch a fish, carve a design on a bone, or create a more effective club. Outperform, and you might secure a mate in a prime hunting ground. Underperform, and, well, you were grunt fodder. Fast forward a few millennia, and the concept of work still involved beating nature into submission. In ancient Mesopotamia, farmers tilled muddy fields with primitive plows, slaves braved scorching sun for their masters, and scribes painstakingly etched cuneiform tablets. If you checked your LinkedIn network now, it would pale next to the interconnected royal families of the Fertile Crescent, exchanging trade agreements and war threats. Yet despite these advances, your compensation was still a ration of barley, a plot of land, and the looming threat of damnation if you displeased the king's gods. Across the seas in ancient China, work was similarly arduous. Under the Qin and Han dynasties, peasants labored on enormous state projects, building sections of the Great Wall, forging iron tools, and digging canals. Like modern-day interns, they offered their sweat and bleary-eyed mornings in exchange for mere sustenance and a lifetime of homage to the emperor. Bureaucrats in Chang'an, miles away, documented every grain of rice, every ox license, and every coin. Their accounting was the ancestor of today's Excel spreadsheets, except the penalty for a clerical error was exile to remote provinces with bandits. Cavemen eventually handed the baton to the pharaohs. In ancient Egypt, work became centralized. Grand projects like pyramids and temples required thousands of laborers, orchestrated by overseers who neither lifted a stone nor got a sunburn, but possessed masterful skills in intimidation. These project managers, effectively the first middle managers, shouted orders in hieroglyphic-backed fear tactics. You woke before dawn, descended into the Nile's murky waters to fetch clay, and spent the sun's height chiseling limestone blocks. Every grunt of effort was recorded on papyrus for accounting purposes. No effort went unspent. Your reward? A smattering of bread and beer, plus the chance of eternal rest in a tomb you helped build. Modern job perks, stock options, catered lunches, couldn't compare to your elaborate sarcophagus, but good luck finding someone to call your references. In the Indus Valley, artisans specialized in bead-making, weaving, and metallurgy. Craft guilds existed in rudimentary form, controlling trade secrets, work hours, and quality. A potter who deviated from the prescribed drip pattern risked censure and loss of status. Goldsmiths in Mohenjo-Daro stamped fine jewelry for the elite, but if the granary ran low, those same gold trinkets might be recast into coins and redistributed as rations. In that sense, even the wealthiest worker still answered to an unyielding boss. The ebb and flow of monsoon-fed crops. Then came Rome, and with it the concept of a diversified career path, if you counted being a legionary, a slave, or a street sweeper. The Roman job market was an early version of a ruthless staffing agency. Barricades, amphitheaters, aqueducts, and villas demanded everything from architects to amateur gladiators. If your family was patrician, congratulations. You might enjoy the executive suite on the Palatine Hill, discussing philosophy and tax reform. If you were plebeian, your choices were less glamorous. Join the legions, serve as a full-time laborer, or get chucked to the lions. Being a soldier seemed prestigious until you realized promotions meant volunteering to lead charges against barbarians. One misstep, and you'd join the spin cycle of Caesar's ambitious power plays. Meanwhile, slaves performed most of Rome's heavy lifting, mining gold in Spain, working fields in Sicily, or building roads that still exist today. Their job security was inversely proportional to the whim of their masters. But even they had a sliver of hope. Being a privileged slave could earn you a litter ride into the city. Maybe you'd learn a trade, tanning hides, working bronze, or cooking lavish feasts for patrician dinner parties. If you were lucky, a generous or lonely master might manumit you. Congratulations, you're now a freedman, burdened by debts but free to join the rat race by renting a small shop or rebuilding your shattered dignity in the back alleys of Ostia. As Rome crumbled, so did its social structures. Medieval Europe replaced the old hierarchy with feudalism, kings, lords, knights, and peasants locked in a rigid caste system. Serfs toiled on the manor, farming, tending livestock, and paying royalties to their lords. The serf's life was pretty straightforward. Work until you dropped, eat scraps, and pray you didn't contract dysentery. You couldn't leave without permission. So much for job mobility. If your lord summoned you to fight in a skirmish, you either grabbed your crude weapon or lost your head. Far across the globe in the Americas, indigenous communities had organized labor roles embedded in cultural rituals and communal responsibilities. In Aztec cities, specialized artisans crafted pottery, feathered headdresses, and intricate murals depicting deities and conquests. Those who failed to contribute goods or manpower to state projects risked fines or forced labor. The Inca Empire, meanwhile, practiced mita, a system of labor tribute where every citizen provided rotational service to build terraces, roads, and temples. There was no option to quit. If you shirked your mita duty, you lost access to communal granaries. That's right. Skip your day as a mountain road builder, and someone in your household starved. Work remained a thankless grind, but at least healthcare was simpler. avoid rotten meat, and hope you didn't encounter the Black Death. When the plague hit, around 1/3 of Europe's population vanished in a matter of years. Suddenly, labor was scarce. Wages went up because landowners needed bodies to till fields. It was the original labor shortage, a grim job market where surviving could actually earn you something. Imagine that. People fighting over sea salt rationing for a chance to make an extra loaf of bread. At least one silver lining emerged. Commoners could renegotiate terms, demand fair pay, and sometimes even leave their lord's land in search of better opportunities. Unlike today's golden handcuffs, a fresh start seemed tantalizingly within reach if you could dodge infection. During the Renaissance, a sliver of hope emerged. Artisans formed guilds, regulating trades, quality, and wages. You apprenticed under a master for years, honed your craft, and maybe opened a modest workshop. The guild offered a sense of structure and protection, a medieval equivalent of a co-op. But don't get carried away. Guilds also enforced strict control over competition. Stray too far from their rules, and you'd face fines, public shaming, or being banned from your own trade. It was less of a career ladder and more of a glorified network of gatekeepers who resented any whiff of innovation. Around this time, money evolved from coins hammered with a king's face to the first banks in Florence. Credit, bills of exchange, and letters of credit allowed merchants to travel and trade across seas without lugging sacks of gold. If you were savvy enough to join the high-stakes world of finance, behind locked doors, murmuring deals in Latin, you could profit from shifting exchange rates. But beware. Usury laws punished those who imposed exorbitant interest, often with damnation in the afterlife. Some crafty bankers skirted these rules by charging fees for services. The medieval version of creative accounting. Sound familiar? The more things change, the more your entry-level position might end up with you wearing striped pajamas in a castle dungeon, either earthly or eternal. By the time the Enlightenment dawned, voices clamored for reason, natural rights, and perhaps most revolutionary of all, safe working conditions. Scholars like Adam Smith theorized about free markets. Pamphleteers spread ideas about individual liberty. But laborers still toiled in fields, workshops, and mines with little regard for human life. Exploitation remained rampant. Child chimney sweeps inhaled soot daily. Sailors worked on cramped vessels that seemed hell-bent on sinking. And mill workers in early factories endured 16-hour days without breaks. Famed intellectuals debated the morality of labor. Rousseau wrote about the corrupting influence of inequality, while Voltaire quipped that wealth bred idleness, and idleness bred revolution. Yet real change was slow. Workers began rudimentary strikes as early as 1768 in England. A group of Spitalfield silk weavers downed tools to protest wage cuts and mechanization. Their slogan, "Don't let the loom swallow our livelihood." The rebellion was crushed, but it planted seeds that would later blossom into organized labor movements across Europe. Act 2, Machines, Memos, and the Rise of the Middle-Class Illusion. Welcome to the Industrial Revolution, also known as the era when we traded dirt for cubicles and started dying on the inside instead of the outside. Picture vast factories where smokestacks towered like iron lungs over entire towns. The rivers belched foam from dye works, and workers inhaled particles that would soon lace their lungs with tar. You didn't need to worry about bears anymore, but instead about losing limbs to giant spinning looms and conveyor belts that offered no mercy. Factories were humanity's first startup incubators. Everyone worked for equity, but the equity was just a polite way of saying $0, zero benefits, zero hope. You clocked in before dawn, assembled widgets until dusk, and collapsed into a stench-infused hovel. By the time you returned, The sun had set and your lungs were speckled with black. If you caught a few hours of sleep, you woke to do it all again. Quality of life was a foreign concept. Ironically, the machines that promised to improve lives ended up devouring them. Child labor became an unspoken norm. By age 5 or 6, children clawed their way into factories, navigating narrow pits under spinning jennies. They could get into spaces an adult couldn't, retrieving jammed cotton or coal. The bosses prized their nimble fingers, their pliable bodies, and their inability to unionize. If a child worker begged for a day off, they simply got replaced by one who didn't ask questions. The earliest definition of human capital meant a fragile human body reduced to its economic value. In response, workers began to organize. Unions sprouted like mushrooms in damp corners of the industrial age. Strikes, protests, and riots disrupted the relentless hum of machinery. 10,000 spinners marching through Manchester meant unfulfilled orders and worried mill owners. In return, authorities unleashed cavalry and police brigades to suppress these gatherings. Tear gas was deployed, and protesters, too poor to afford helmets, danced on the edge of death. Still, the persistent clamoring for rights led to modest victories, reduced working hours, modest pay increases, and the weekend, that cherished two-day escape that capitalism immediately learned to loathe. Yet the gains were tenuous. Bosses circled back with cunning new strategies. Time clocks tracked every second of your life, and piece rate pay incentivized speed over safety. If you lingered to rest or took a moment to catch your breath, you risked losing out on wages. Industrialists declared, "Efficiency is humanity's salvation," while laborers whispered, "So long as it doesn't kill us faster." Amid this transformation, psychology and management sciences emerged. Frederick Taylor's scientific management principles decomposed every job into minute tasks, timed with a stopwatch. The goal? Maximize output by eliminating wasted motion and granting workers no discretion. The result? Sweatshops that transmogrified human beings into mere cogs, their souls measured in profit margins and scrap percentages. Managers turned into early performance analysts, using data to push workers beyond physical limits. Union demands for humane conditions were met with stiff resistance. "This is how progress happens," proclaimed factory owners. "Your job is to keep up or be left behind." Meanwhile, offices emerged as the new frontier of monotony. As steam power gave way to electricity, businesses moved out of mills and into brick office buildings. Instead of hot coals and spitting flames, workers faced flickering fluorescent lights and the scent of old coffee. Productivity was measured in memos, carbon copies stacked like tombstones on desks, each bearing an urgent request that inevitably led to another meeting. You sat in a cubicle farm, your screen illuminating your face like a digital hound. Every few minutes, a colleague would pop up to ask, "Did you see my email?" You would sigh, realizing you'd just spent the last hour filing digital paperwork that probably could have been a single phone call. Coffee became humanity's last defense against spreadsheets. The first break rooms featured giant urns of black sludge, your lifeline against drooping eyelids and creeping existential dread. Managers preached synergy, leveraging human capital and mission-critical tasks, while employees counted the seconds until the weekend. When the personal computer arrived on desks in the late 1970s, there was a collective cheer until everyone realized the new machines meant more work. Word processing replaced typewriters. Now you edited endlessly, making sure every memo looked perfect. The promise of liberating technology became the promise of ceaseless connectivity. No more off hours. A boss could ping you at 1 a.m., and courtesy demanded you responded. Then computers truly matured, sprouting from cubicles into server rooms. In the 1990s, dot-com fever gripped Silicon Valley. It was a gold rush of a different sort, and everyone with a homepage thought they might make billions before lunch. Tech startups popped up like candy-colored mushrooms. Some fizzed out in a spectacular collapse. Others became behemoths. Yet even then, a shadow lurked. Every hand coded meant a potential reduction in headcount. Code once, deploy many times, crowed startups, while employees quietly wondered if the next framework version would swallow their paycheck. And then came cloud computing. Data centers sprouted in rural landscapes, massive warehouses humming with servers, sucking up electricity like mythical beasts. The narrative was grand: democratization of data, global connectivity, digital transformation. But in the wings, scripts and algorithms awaited their cue to displace human roles. Database administrators, call center operators, and graphic designers watched their tasks get automated by lines of code. "Don't worry," said the CTO. "These tools augment your skills." But if your skills were replaceable by a sub-$5 a month subscription, who needed you? The assembly line, introduced by Henry Ford, epitomized the dehumanization of labor. Workers stood shoulder to shoulder, performing repetitive motions to assemble Model Ts. The mantra was, reduce cycle time, and each tick of the stopwatch shaved seconds off the production process. Workers lost autonomy, every gesture optimized for speed. If you dropped a bolt, you were chastised for disrupting the flow. Job satisfaction plummeted, and "I need a vacation" was replaced by "I need an aspirin." The assembly line's echo resonates today in modern warehouses, where Kiva robots zip between shelves, leaving human workers to handle exceptional cases and fear for their livelihoods. Meanwhile, human resources departments emerged as gatekeepers of the new office ecosystem. North of the 1950s, soft skills training, motivational seminars, and personality tests infiltrated corporate culture. You learned to think outside the box and stand for excellence. TED Talks were replaced by in-house workshops titled Synergize Your Synergy and Maximizing Your Personal Brand in an Elevator Pitch Economy. HR slogans promised career growth and work-life balance, but reality rarely matched the glossy pamphlets. As offices expanded, cubicles multiplied like corporate crop circles. Each cubicle wall was a barrier to human connection, and collaboration devolved into passing sticky notes. If you're lucky, your manager acknowledges you by asking, "How's that report coming?" more on autopilot than genuine concern. Annual performance reviews became an exercise in obfuscation. You chatted about key deliverables and developmental opportunities, but left wondering if your bonus would fund your electric bill. Then digital communication arrived: email, instant messaging, video calls. Suddenly your coworker could ask a question from across the globe between bites of avocado toast. You became part of a global workforce, yet isolation intensified. If you missed one Zoom meeting, you risked being the non-participating note-taker. The expectation was perpetual availability, and work-life boundaries blurred like a spilled latte on a keyboard. In the late 2000s, big data analytics entered the fray. Companies installed monitoring software to track keystrokes, mouse movements, and web browsing. Your productivity dashboard lit up in real time, scoring your efficiency on a scale of 0 to 100. If you dipped below a threshold, a notification gently chided you to refocus on tasks. Algorithms judged your break times. Too many restroom visits flagged you as a slacker. Too few flagged you as risk of burnout. Surveillance crept into micromanaging every minute of your paid hours. Then came automation platforms, RPA, robotic process automation, programmed to click, copy, paste, and navigate enterprise systems. Manual data entry, once performed by human clerks, hunched over spreadsheets, migrated to rows of virtual bots. Those bots never complained about carpal tunnel, never drank coffee, and never missed work calls for a migraine. Payroll clerks became ID numbers in a vendor list. Update the license keys. Cancel HR's seat. Some companies boasted that RPA saved thousands of labor hours, while employees polished resumes. Meanwhile, the concept of gig work, once a fringe phenomenon, became a cultural mainstay. Craigslist tasks, eBay microjobs, and later TaskRabbit enticed knowledge workers to supplement income. Be your own boss, boasted the ads, but they omitted the part about self-filing quarterly taxes. Freelancers chased endless deadlines for freedom, yet struggled to secure benefits, stable pay, or a sense of belonging. The aggregator platforms, Upwork, Fiverr, promised global marketplaces, but competition drove prices to rock bottom. You negotiated rates in Slack channels, hoping a client wouldn't drop you for another seller charging 2 cents less. In urban centers around the world, co-working spaces emerged as offices of the future. Rooftop lounges, beanbags, and artisanal coffee replaced cubicles. Entrepreneurs, freelancers, and digital nomads rubbed elbows under neon signs reading, "Innovate." But the reality was more caffeinated chaos. Noise-canceling headphones became essential, and networking events devolved into forced conversations about synergy and disruptive solutions. The allure of flexible work came with a price: loneliness in a crowd, and the constant fear that someone would swipe your chair while you grabbed a latte. While the physical workspace evolved, so did the nature of labor itself. Knowledge work proliferated, degrees and certifications became currency. Universities churned out computer science graduates eager to conquer the world, yet the oversupply meant many ended up in customer support roles at call centers. Experts predicted a golden age of intellectual labor, but AI quietly infiltrated those very domains. And then the 21st century brought an unprecedented fusion. Interconnectedness, Moore's Law, and venture capital fuel created an ecosystem ripe for displacement. Sensors, IoT devices, and AI platforms promise predictive maintenance in factories. Industry 4.0 became the corporate buzzword, signifying a merging of digital and physical worlds. Yet for workers, the message was clear: your job would be optimized, then optimized out. Act 3. You trained the machine that replaced you. Congrats. Fast forward to today. You're not just a cog in the machine, you built the machine. Every click, like, caption, and comment you typed fueled an algorithm that quietly assimilated your job into lines of code. Did you ever notice how the most trivial online behaviors, watching cooking tutorials, liking cat videos, swiping through social feeds, coalesce into a training data set? While you thought you were scrolling for entertainment, you were teaching an AI how to identify ingredients, cooking methods, and yes, how to craft a viral recipe. Consider the online courier. You clicked a button to order dinner, summoning a gig worker to deliver it. Meanwhile, you rated the experience on a scale of 1 to 5. Unbeknownst to you, that rating fed into a machine learning model that now evaluates every future delivery, optimizing routes, predicting delays, and eventually automating dispatch. One day soon, drones might drop your sushi. The algorithm learned from you. You made it possible. Personalized advertising is another realm where you unwittingly built your replacement. You searched best running shoes and clicked a few reviews. The AI took note: price point, brand affinity, even preferred color. It then optimized ad placements, learned which images drew clicks, and eventually automated the entire marketing funnel. Now digital marketing roles are shifting. You used to carve email campaigns. Now you tweak dashboards telling AI where to spend ad dollars. The AI tests thousands of variations in minutes, rendering A/B testing teams obsolete. Your job application is another prime example. You craft the perfect resume, fonts aligned, bullet points polished, keywords sprinkled like confetti. Submit. Then silence. Why? Because an applicant tracking system, ATS, parsed your resume, converted it into binary, and spat it out if it didn't match requisition codes. Thousands apply. One ATS decides. Your cover letter praising dedication to excellence meant little when the bot needed the precise phrase, stakeholder engagement. And oh, did you know some companies pay consultants just to sculpt those job descriptions to thwart applicants? It's a labyrinth of digital dead ends. Imagine a world where the CEO of a major bank never meets 80% of employees. He's guided by dashboards predicting market trends, customer retention, and loan default probabilities. That data, once gleaned by interns calling customers, now flows through APIs. Entry-level roles in financial services shrink as robo-advisors manage portfolios with algorithmic precision. At conferences, panels tout augmented financial advice, where humans add human touch to machine recommendations. But as investors gravitate toward cheaper robo-solutions, the need for junior analysts plummets. Meanwhile, content creators wake each morning to find their original work has vanished into an AI black box. You upload a tutorial on graphic design. A week later, a competing platform offers an auto-design feature that mimics your style. The corporation claims they synthesize data fairly, but your brushstrokes and design sensibility, cough, cough, are gone. You're told, don't worry, we credited the community data set. But where's the link to your personal page or the royalty check? As the lines between inspiration and theft blur, you realize your creative soul is just another training input. Journalism, once the protector of truth, now bows to automated news writing. Financial reports, sports summaries, even weather updates get drafted by machines based on data feeds. You used to intern at the newspaper, fact-checking every comma. Now the AI scans real-time data and spits out articles at 3 a.m. As advertising revenue dries up, newspapers shrink. Opportunity as an AI fact-checker, reads the ad, but the pay is a pittance, and the hours are constant. Fact: AI still struggles with context, but newspapers insist readers won't notice a few odd turns of phrase. The coders among you remember the days of building small apps in your dorm room. You called it passion. Employers called it portfolio evidence. These days, code generation tools like Copilot and ChatGPT emerge, churn out boilerplate solutions, vulnerabilities included. Maybe a junior developer once handcrafted a function to sort data. Now a single prompt regenerates it in milliseconds. Suddenly, your skill as a problem solver is devalued because a chatbot writes better pseudocode than you can at 3 a.m. Undergrads entering the workforce ask, why learn Java when I can ask for a snippet? And the workforce shrinks. Manufacturing, once the backbeat of industrial progress, now hums with the synchronized dance of robots. Car factories employ fewer welders and more technicians maintaining automated arms. Factories boast digital twins, virtual replicas that simulate production lines, flagging inefficiencies. Skilled tradespeople who once learned by apprenticeship, now few and far between. As robots achieve sub-millimeter precision, traditional machining roles recede. If you're a machinist, you might learn to code G-code or watch pink slips stack like rejected parts. In agriculture, combine harvesters outfitted with GPS and yield mapping sensors grunt through fields, tracking moisture levels, nutrient densities, and harvest projections. One farmer once lost half his crop to a pest infestation. Now AI-driven drones survey acres in minutes, spot pest clusters, and direct pesticide application with surgical accuracy. Fewer manual laborers wander rows of corn. Instead, agri-tech specialists tweak algorithms predicting next season's climate anomalies. The roots in dirt tradition gives way to roots in code. Customer service? Remember being on hold for 45 minutes, eventually talking to someone who couldn't help you? Welcome to AI chatbots that never sleep. They instantly analyze your text, reference massive databases, and deliver canned empathy. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. You ask for a refund. The bot processes it. The satisfaction is swift, but you long for the human rant that might have elicited a freebie. Instead, you discover your account canceled because the algorithm flagged you as low value. Bots don't sympathize, they optimize. Even doctors and lawyers feel the pinch. Diagnostic AI can analyze imaging scans faster than a radiologist. Paralegals once listing case law now sit sidelined as legal research platforms offer predictive insights. When an AI hints at 90% likelihood of success based on past rulings, a lawyer scoffs at the need for a junior associate's billable hours. "Bring me the machine output," they say. The associate? Welcome to an uncertain career path where attending law school might feel like assembling a powerhouse just to be outpaced by code. The AI revolution didn't announce itself with trumpets, just a quiet infiltration. Algorithms first permeated back-office functions, accounting software replaced ledger clerks, CRM platforms supplanted sales assistants, and marketing automation ate away at copywriting roles. Each replaced task spilled into the next. If the machine can write ad copy, can it develop an ad strategy? Then a boardroom of MBAs nodded. Let's test it. And so strategy AI sprouted, analyzing market trends in nanoseconds. Trade shows once filled convention centers, marketing managers traveling across continents to pitch products. Now AI-driven recommendation engines match buyers to sellers online. Virtual trade shows offer 3D booths, AI chat reps, and on-demand webinars. The human handshake is relic. Eye contact replaced by avatars scanning QR codes for digital brochures. By the time you notice your industry is collapsing, the impetus to reskill is overwhelming. You scroll through online courses, hoping to learn data science or prompt engineering. But the market is flooded with certificate seekers and chat-level prodigies. You enroll, pay the fees, and earn a credential. Yet employers treat the certificate like a participation trophy. They ask for 2 years of experience that only exist in a parallel reality where AI never emerged. By now, the conversation around new jobs rings hollow. Sure, positions like prompt engineer, data curator for ethical AI, and augmented reality experience architect appear on LinkedIn. But dig deeper, and you find remuneration ranging from peanuts to decaf. The role of prompt engineer, once the golden ticket, becomes contract work. Companies hire freelancers to fine-tune models for a few bucks per hour. You juggle multiple clients, chasing deadlines, cranking out training sets. Meanwhile, childcare pays better. As algorithms eat the white-collar world, polarization intensifies. The remaining high-skill roles, AI ethicists, quantum computing researchers, seem worlds away for most. The rest scramble to pivot, but with every pivot, AI evolves to target that same niche. You learn Python, but soon find Python scripts that generate Python scripts. You master machine learning, only to watch open-source models democratize that expertise. Your value chain becomes a game of whack-a-mole. Fix one vulnerability and AI spawns another. Yet for all the gloom, a cultural mythology grows. AI will create more jobs than it destroys, they say. But you notice that new jobs reside mostly in the same realm, tech. Meanwhile, retail, hospitality, customer support, sectors employing millions, face existential threats. Imagine small restaurants across the globe deploying robot chefs and automated order systems. No more servers, just tablets, bots, and an empty dining room where once laughter echoed through wooden chairs. Even in education, where teachers once stood at the front of a classroom, AI tutors craft personalized lesson plans, manage grading, and provide feedback. Yes, human mentors remain prized, but budgets tighten. Schools experiment with teacher plus AI models, where one instructor oversees dozens of AI subordinates. Student engagement metrics plummet, but administrators cheer cost savings. And healthcare? As mentioned, AI diagnostics excel, CNNs, convolutional neural networks, spot tumors on scans more accurately than radiologists. Robotic surgeons perform complex procedures with pinpoint precision. The primary skill doctors retain is bedside manner, soon to be commercialized into an empathy service. Doctor visits for connection, AI for everything else, the tagline reads. The machines leave humans with the intangible tasks, trivializing the years of rigorous medical training. In government and public policy, predictive analytics guide resource allocation, social service eligibility, crime prevention, disaster relief. Even as budgets tighten, politicians tout smart governance, big data, real-time dashboards, and AI-led community policing. Yet bias creeps in. Historical arrest records used to train models result in over-policing of marginalized communities. Meanwhile, civil servants who manage case files find their roles outsourced to digital case management platforms. The arts haven't escaped. Writers once earned advances for novels. Now short-form AI-generated stories flood online marketplaces. Movie studios commission scripts from AI, then hire a skeleton crew to tailor them for the screen. Musicians see royalties shrink as streaming platforms incorporate AI loops. Even stand-up comedians face deep-fake competitors delivering jokes crafted from audience analytics. You used to open mic at a local bar. Now you compete against a virtual comedy bot that knows your mother's maiden name and jokes about it in real time. Meanwhile, mental health professionals notice a surge in employment anxiety disorder. Sessions focus on coping with rapid change, career identity crises, and the sense of obsolescence. AI-powered therapy apps offer CBT exercises, but human therapists warn that digital interventions lack genuine empathy. Community support groups form, not just to share feelings, but to strategize how to stay relevant in a world where relevance is algorithmically defined. In the realm of sports and entertainment, performance analysis AI crunches athlete data, recommending training plans, nutrition, and play strategies. Scouts used to discover raw talent. Now they rely on predictive metrics. Actors audition to AI casting directors that evaluate facial expressions, vocal tone, and social media engagement. The dream of making it big has new gatekeepers, digital ones that optimize for maximum clicks and lowest production costs. In large corporations, sustainability became a catch-all for environmental, social, and governance (ESG) metrics. AI tools analyze supply chain emissions, labor practices, and brand sentiment. Sustainability officers once championed ethical sourcing. Now their reports are fed into shareholder dashboards. If a factory in Southeast Asia violates labor laws, the AI flags it, and the corporate board decides to shutter operations instantly. trade-offs become binary: profits or people. The gig economy that began with rideshare apps has expanded into professional services. Platforms match freelance lawyers, designers, and consultants with micro-gigs. Tap into elite talent on demand, they promise, while charging hefty commission fees. Freelancers, once proud craftsmen, reduce their offerings to bite-sized projects. Design a logo in 24 hours, or draft a legal contract for $50. The prestige fades as convenience reigns. Across industries, the notion of career dissolves. Workers piece together multiple part-time gigs, digital gigs, and micro-contracts. If you once envisioned a 10-year trajectory within a company, now you juggle LinkedIn, Upwork, Fiverr, and anonymous AI test platforms just to pay rent. The concept of seniority is gone. Replaceable code learns faster than your years of experience. In sum, you train the very systems that replaced you. Every project you led, every paper you published, every click you made was data. It's a bittersweet irony. The machine doesn't respect you. It respects patterns, and your patterns built it. Act 4. The exposure economy, when likes replace livelihoods. Welcome back to the exposure economy, where your self-worth is measured in retweets and your retirement plan is a half-hearted like. Strap in, because the digital Wild West has arrived, and the only certainties are constant anxiety, endless performance, and the ever-looming specter of algorithmic eradication. The frontier is your sanity, and the Lawson of virality is the unyielding law of the land. Creating content isn't about passion anymore. It's a desperate hustle to craft clickbait, harvest engagement, and prove to an unseen, unfeeling AI editor that you even deserve a breath of data. Picture this scene. It's 2:47 a.m., and you're bleary-eyed in your shoebox of a bedroom, bathed in the cold glow of your phone's display. Your latest video, 12 Subtle Ways AI Will Erase Your Job While You Sleep, is inexplicably climbing the charts in the niche of insomniac tech doomsday prophets. You frantically respond to comments. One viewer pleads, "Will AI replace my job as a professional cheese sculptor?" Another demands a tutorial on forging a tinfoil hat capable of blocking every corporate drone's antenna. You gulp down instant coffee because some Discord influencer claimed it improves algorithmic resonance. Meanwhile, your neighbors sleep soundly, blissfully unaware that you're broadcasting existential dread to 3 strangers across 3 continents. Sleep? That's a liability. The exposure economy is a 24/7 performance. Rest isn't an option, it's a career death sentence. Today's content theme, quantum blockchain baking for vegan sumo wrestlers. Tomorrow's binaural ASMR tutorial to trick Alexa into thinking you're a human. By Wednesday, you'll be live streaming your attempts to hack the algorithm by muttering motivational slogans into a webcam, wearing a neon headband and a broken heart. Your toolkit now includes Adobe Premiere's labyrinthine interface, Canva's trend-hopping templates, neural network voice modulators that make you sound like Morgan Freeman trapped in a speak and spell. All to stay relevant for a fleeting microsecond before the next viral challenge swallows you whole. Let's talk vultures, aka brands. Remember when a sponsorship meant a real check for professionals? Now it's DM us your email for a collab, meaning they'll send you a pair of mismatched socks stamped with a barely recognizable logo that nobody will see because your audience has shrunk to a solitary caffeinated accountant in Reykjavik. You hawk limited edition merchandise, t-shirts, enamel pins, coffee mugs, only to watch them arrive at your buyer's doors 3 months late, courtesy of a cottage shipping operation located somewhere between Siberia and next Tuesday. Buyers get a t-shirt that turns pink if you wash it once. You get a fraction of a cent. But hey, your merch link glimmers like a lighthouse in your bio, fooling visitors into believing you haven't drowned. Algorithmic overlords tighten their grip. One day, you ride high on new followers. The next, you upload a perfectly cromulent 10-minute video breaking down the ethics of deepfake sandwiches. And the algorithm buries it faster than an Egyptian pharaoh's treasure. You wake up to a brutal notification. Your engagement dropped 89% overnight. Sounds like a Swiss bank interest rate, right? Nope. That's your soul draining from your body. You try incendiary thumbnails, half-naked robots hugging corporate logos, provocative titles like AI consumes your job while you're on the toilet, and strategically placed profanity. Still, nothing works. The algorithm tags you as low priority, and you vanish into an abyss of forgotten dreams. Now let's examine the uneasy marriage of side hustles and algocrats. Rideshare apps charge you $10 to boost your driver profile, an illusion of high demand. Freelance marketplaces demand bids to place your premium doesn't suck offer above an avalanche of other premium doesn't suck offers. If you can't afford to bid, you become invisible. In these domains, skills matter less than your willingness to shout, "I'm cheap, trust me, I promise," into a vacuum that only the algorithm hears. Meanwhile, surveillance capitalism cackles in the corner. Every twitch of your eyelid during that 2 a.m. live stream is recorded, monetized, and sold to the highest bidder. Your browsing history, searching DIY Faraday cage for remote work, is a data point. Your Spotify listens, your mouse hesitations, even your Instagram story of last night's microwaved ramen become fodder for ad targeting. You strap on a Fitbit, thinking you're tracking your fitness, but employers and insurers celebrate as they note your resting heart rate spikes during mandatory wellness webinars. Miss your step goal? Your premiums skyrocket. Congratulations, your body is now collateral in a digital extortion racket. Subscriptions and microtransactions have turned life into a cash vortex. Need to edit that 8K video? $15 a month for the Pro plan, a price that increases whenever you blink. Crave AI-generated thumbnails? Another $20 per month plus 10 cents per render. Scrounge for PayPal email, Venmo invite, crypto wallet address. You juggle them like flaming torches to avoid falling into the pit of obscurity. Your monthly payment roster resembles a ransom note. Netflix, Hulu, gym membership that you never use, Adobe Creative Cloud, Grammarly, Prompt Engineering Pro, AI-generated ideas.xyz, and your dentist, who charges roughly as much as a compact car. You feel like a hamster on a virtual treadmill that never stops spinning. And don't get me started on the cryptomania feeding this beast. Mint your own creator token, launch an NFT collection, they holler. You mint 500 NFTs of hand-drawn pixel art of angry cats versus malfunctioning AI toasters, slap them on an oversaturated marketplace, and wait for buyers, only to hear crickets chirping. Blockchain gas fees devour any hypothetical profit in a single transaction, an intergalactic trash compactor grinding your hopes into cosmic dust. You soon realize decentralization means decentralizing your dreams and distributing your coins into a void even black holes avoid. Then there's the kingdom of micro-influencers. You niche down to lo-fi jazz hop enthusiasts who practice yoga with rescued turtles. You cultivate 237 die-hard fans who hang on every latte art tutorial. You produce high-production videos like fermenting kombucha while reciting obscure Douglas Adams quotes. And somehow it becomes your biggest hit. 38 views, if you count your supportive aunt twice. You sell enamel pins, mugs, and coasters emblazoned with your brand, raking in a princely $67 a month, just enough to keep the Wi-Fi alive if you bake 3 loaves of artisanal sourdough. But one policy tweak on Patreon, and your world collides with zero revenue. No more mugs, no more Wi-Fi, and your cats, once viral co-stars, move on to greener pastures. Enter academic institutions, desperate to cash in. For a cool $12,000, you can earn a certificate in social media alchemy. Over 6 months, AI tutors grade your every reflection on maximizing engagement through nostalgic emojis and leveraging hashtag entropy to harness existential angst. You submit an essay titled Optimizing Quantum Hashtags for Viral Conspiracies, and the AI grader gives you 91%, good enough to qualify for mid-tier hustles. Yet employers still demand 2 years of real-world experience in a fully saturated digital sandbox. That sandbox? It costs $300 a month to rent, complete with murky Slack channels filled with hallucinating AI chatbots. Global inequalities open like a chasm beneath an unstable bridge. In Silicon Valley, creators tweet from gold-plated earbuds, sipping nitro cold brew as VCs shower them with AdSense royalties. In Lagos, a single gig pays $3, and pay-as-you-go data vultures demand $1 per streaming minute. You post cowboy hat content from Paris. Your friends in Nairobi can't afford data to watch it. Poets, painters, and dancers from the global south see their voices drowned in a digital cacophony dominated by Kardashian clones. The digital divide births a new caste system. If your internet lags, you lag in life. Your mental health takes a nosedive. You check engagement metrics more often than your own reflection. Every upload sends your heart racing. Will this be the one that resurrects you from algorithmic purgatory? When it flops, you consult your cat, who silently judges you while plotting world domination. Burnout? You're crumbling on the inside. You dabble in creator wellness tools, guided breathing exercises, chromotherapy filters, AI pop-ups that chide you with saccharine messages like, "Maybe take a break, friend." Yet the moment you log off, the void beckons. You vanish, a digital ghost in an unforgiving machine. Advertising agencies now hawk exotic influencer matchmaking services. They scrape data, sniff out micro-influencers, match them with international pillow companies, and allocate budgets for paid partnerships. But these contracts dissolve faster than cotton candy. If you miss a posting deadline, dip below a follower threshold, or stray from the brand's color palette, poof, your paycheck, your socks, and your sense of self evaporate. Even the term content creator feels hyperbolic. Tweet a hot take about AI replacing neurosurgeons with smart scalpels? Sure, clicks trickle in, but the traffic? Mostly bots. The wannabe thought leader panders to thought arrow metrics, microseconds spent on page. You churn hype, amplify FOMO, but ask yourself, are you discussing the future or flailing desperately to outrun irrelevance? Specialized professions suffer too. Lawyers once argued in hushed chambers. Now, AI legal research platforms spit out briefs faster than a New York City pigeon flaps its wings. Paralegals, replaced by algorithms that parse case law in milliseconds. Medical coders, ghosted by natural language processing models that transcribe doctors' notes with uncanny accuracy. Even therapists feel the pinch. AI chatbots offer generalized empathy, leaving human counselors scrambling for clients with rare, nuanced conditions at exorbitant rates. The irony? Your empathy becomes a luxury good. Retail sales floors, once bustling with humans, now feature touchscreen kiosks. A cashier used to greet you with a forced smile. Now, a robotic arm scans your items. If the machine malfunctions, a single attendant hovers, wishing you a pleasant day. Brick-and-mortar stores turn into showrooms as warehouses staffed by Kiva robots pick, pack, and ship. DoorDash drivers pick from aisles guided by algorithmic instructions, but those humans now exist only to maintain the robots. The gig economy's promise of flexibility curdles into a dystopia of unending gig chains. You drive until your car breaks down, then pick up data labeling gigs caring for neon goats in the metaverse. Ever consider a non-profit career? AI fundraising bots personalize appeals by analyzing donors' psychological profiles. Charity Gala invites generate automated follow-ups, and volunteer management platforms assign tasks to avatars. The human element? Reduced to orchestrating AI scripts, adjusting donor databases, and frantically Googling AI ethics grant writing. Those grants, ironically, fund more AI integration, cutting human roles in the process. Education faces a parallel collapse. Professors record monotone lectures for AI-driven learning platforms. Canvas automates grading, flags students with low engagement, and suggests interventions, which are automated emails urging students to reattempt the quiz. High school teachers adopt AI tutors that personalize lesson plans, while students tweet rude memes in lieu of class participation. The blackboard is replaced by VR headsets, where avatars lecture avatars. You remember Bill Nye? Now it's Bill Nye 2.0, an AI entity that spews facts with no charm and no chance to ask about your cat. The wretched paradox: AI promises personalized education, but those left unable to navigate the platforms drop out. Those with resources, fast internet, Chromebooks, supportive families, thrive, while others fade into learning deserts. The digital divide cracks open like a wound, splintering the next generation's hopes. Sports and entertainment morph too. AI performance analysis dissects athletes' every micro-movement. Scouts once discovered raw talent on neighborhood courts. Now, they rely on predictive metrics fed by biomechanical sensors. Actors audition to AI casting directors, evaluating facial expressions, vocal tone, and social media clout. In gaming, AI-driven NPCs learn from human patterns, making multiplayer matches feel less like fun and more like dodging sentient code. Professional esports bloom, but prize pools are skewed toward a few superstar teams sponsored by questionable crypto startups. In music, AI composers generate melancholic piano loops in seconds, enough to score an indie film. Record labels sign human artists only if they perform alongside AI avatars, digital duets that blend synthetic harmonies with human vocals. Composers struggle to monetize original tracks when AI-generated loops saturate licensing libraries. Venues book immersive AI concert experiences, where holograms of Nick Drake perform holograms of your favorite alternative jam bands. Meanwhile, local musicians busk in subways for $3 a night. The restaurant industry once hinged on human flair. Chefs sautéed, servers smiled, diners savored. Now drones deliver food, robots flip burgers, and AI chatbots take reservations. The local diner where gruff grandpas sipped coffee and exchanged gossip is replaced by sterile pods where diners tap screens to customize their digital meal. TikTok's shows featuring celebrity chefs give way to AI-generated cooking channels offering recipes stitched from millions of user-submitted clips. The taste? A pasteurized homogenate of viral trends. Civilization's palette reduced to trending hashtags. Transportation transforms. Self-driving taxis navigate city grids while human drivers fritter away. The thrill of a long-haul trucking career decays into remote oversight of convoys of driverless rigs. CB radio chatter, once the soul of cross-country camaraderie, echoes with robotic voices giving ETA estimates and weather updates. Ports adopt AI cranes that unload ships at lightning speed, relegating dock workers to the role of maintenance overseers. Sea captains monitor cargo from digital dashboards, sipping cold brew while robots hoist 20,000-ton containers. Meanwhile, environmental stakes escalate. AI-driven logistics promise leaner supply chains, fewer emissions, optimized routes, predictive maintenance. Yet data centers, the engines of this revolution, guzzle electricity like mythical beasts. Vast server farms in remote regions rely on fossil fuels, leaving carbon footprints comparable to small nations. Mining rare earth metals for battery and chip production scars landscapes in regions like the Congo and Inner Mongolia. Farm fields convert to solar arrays. Everyone's ethical portfolio needs sustainability, but the local ecosystem collapses under monocrop solar grasses. Climate activists wrestle with a diabolical irony. AI aids climate modeling and renewable energy optimization, yet the very infrastructure of artificial intelligence accelerates environmental degradation. Dr. Patel, a climate scientist, once tracked glacier melt via satellite imagery. Now she uses AI segmentation algorithms that process terabytes of data nightly, but wonders if those algorithms won't be running on carbon-belching servers decades from now. Community bonds fray, but flickers of hope emerge. Cooperative co-ops spring up. Neighbors share garden plots, 3D printers, and Wi-Fi hotspots. Freelancers band into solidarity networks, sharing gig proceeds so no one starves. Barter systems revive. I'll fix your leaky faucet if you teach me to code in Rust. Maker spaces flourish, teaching woodworking, metalworking, ceramics, ancient crafts AI can't replicate. Local storytelling circles preserve oral traditions, resisting a future where every story is an AI-generated simulation. Religious and spiritual communities adapt too. Hope churches host digital Sabbath sessions, voluntary tech fasts encouraging congregants to unplug for 24 hours. Monasteries offer unplugged retreats, teaching mindful living without screens. Faith leaders preach Sabbath socialism, periodic communal restitution where wealth and labor are pooled. They pledge no data tithes, refusing to feed algorithms with personal information. These movements foster solidarity, but struggle to scale beyond local boundaries. On the fringes, hacktivist collectives rise, evangelizing tech for people, not profit. They code open-source alternatives to surveillance capitalism, decentralized social networks, privacy-respecting messaging apps, blockchain-based co-ops. They host hackathons, 72-hour marathons fueled by pizza and nihilistic hope, only to see their creations die within weeks, strangled by corporate firewalls, legal threats, and outdated regulations. Philosophers and ethicists gather in virtual salons. What does it mean to be human when jobs once defined identity vanish overnight? Some propose universal creativity license, a radical framework asserting every individual deserves access to resources for art, leisure, and contemplation, detached from profit. But in a world where algorithms dictate visibility, creativity is commodified, and leisure is condemned as unproductive. In the end, retirement isn't merely postponed, it's reimagined as perpetual possibility. A life where worth resides outside profit margins, community bonds replace corporate hierarchies, and solace is carved from analog rituals. Yet that utopia is a long shot. First, we must survive the gauntlet of perpetual hustle. We've glimpsed the last paycheck, but the world still hums with demands for micro-content, instant replies, and unending engagement. The machines never rest. They optimize. So, dear listener, Drift off carefully. Your dreams are the only refuge from metrics, algorithms, and the never-ending grind. Sleep deeply, because when you wake, the exposure economy will be ready to devour you again. The future of work is a waking nightmare, and even your dreams won't escape being mined for data. Act 5. Retirement is canceled. The post-work apocalypse. Retirement? That mythical utopia where you'd recline in a rocking chair, watch grandchildren play, and reminisce about simpler times? Kiss it goodbye. In this post-work landscape, retirement died under a mountain of notifications, algorithm updates, and the crushing weight of compound interest. Welcome to your golden years, flickering between rideshare gigs, freelance hustle, and streaming your own funerary vlog titled, "How I Sold My Dignity So You Could Eat Popcorn." Pensions and Social Security have become bedtime stories told to children, charming, wistful, and utterly fictional. Governments once guaranteed a dignified exit from the grind. Now they offer a perpetually loading Zoom link where you wait for 72 minutes to ask if you qualify for a benefit that may not exist. Retirement ages creep upward like malignant vines. 65 becomes 67, then 70, and soon, why not 75? After all, AI is eternal. Why should you be any different? You glance at your parents. They juggle part-time gigs, delivering parcels at dawn, running call center scripts at dusk, hunting food pantry coupons in between. They once dreamed of community gardens and bingo nights. Now they dream of one uninterrupted night of sleep. Corporations gleefully dispense early retirement packages under the guise of AI transition assistance. You receive a one-year stipend to learn to work alongside robots, which really means shadowing HR Bot 3000, a glitching chatbot that liquefies spreadsheets into gibberish. If you can't master the latest quantum-coded AI tool by next Tuesday, they reclassify you from seasoned corporate savant to legacy liability. Suddenly, you're an expendable data point, handing your decades of institutional knowledge to a chatbot that doesn't know your birthday but can process your entire workload in nanoseconds. If you thought a college degree was a golden key, think again. Universities have morphed into AI echo chambers. Enroll in our post-work resilience program for $15,000, where you endure 4 weekly hours of AI-graded discussion boards on optimizing LinkedIn profiles for AI crawlers and neural synergy in micro-entrepreneurship. You graduate clutching an array of certificates, certified in virtual networking, expert in algorithmic synergy, master of meme curation, but ghost recruiters ghost you and job postings vanish into black holes labeled AI optimized. Your piece of parchment holds less value than a tweet from a dancing rodent. The gig economy, once hailed as utopia, has transmogrified into a treadmill to nowhere. You flit between rideshare platforms, deliver groceries at dawn, tutor math by midday, pet set robot dogs at dusk, and label AI image datasets until dawn again. Each gig markets you as flexible and entrepreneurial, but there's no stability, no benefits, no breaks. Day and night blur. One moment you're chauffeuring a bleary-eyed executive to a Zoom meeting about AI synergy. The next you're grading AI-generated student essays while wondering when your last meaningful human interaction occurred. Healthcare? A cruel joke. You barter between gigs to qualify for a half-baked subsidy or a fleeting employer plan. One emergency room visit plunges you into level 3 debt. You're splayed on a gurney, hearing your bank balance ping its final defeat. Telemedicine AI bots diagnose you for $20, assuring you it's likely stress-induced insomnia. But your chronic conditions, diabetes, hypertension, demand specialist care costing 1,000 times more than a latte at Starbucks. You once envisioned retirement communities with shuffleboard and potlucks. Now you yearn for 24 uninterrupted hours where your blood sugar isn't a battleground. Family ties fray in these harsh economic currents. You'd love to help aging parents, but you're too busy juggling your own precarious mortgage. If you can find a lender willing to consider your gig income stable. Banks laugh at your application and politely suggest a payday loan. You wonder if you'll even have children. Child care and student loans combine to a monstrous breeding tax. Meanwhile, grandparents rummage for yard work to afford a monthly insulin prescription. Weddings become crowdfunding campaigns. Graduations become debt-ridden rituals. Governments treat universal basic income, UBI, like a Kickstarter experiment. Drop your email, maybe we'll pilot it. If you're lucky, you land in a pilot program that sprinkles $250 a month, enough to buy 2 ramen bowls in a city where rent is $3,000. UBI once promised salvation. Now it's a Band-Aid on a hemorrhaging economy, a crumb tossed to the masses while CEOs sip champagne on private yachts bound for Mars. Inequality bulges like a malignant tumor. The top 0.1%, tech overlords and venture capital magnates, live in metaphorical penthouses on Mars, drawing fortunes from AI-driven hedge funds, automated factories, and advertisement constellations blotting out the night sky. They dine on fusion jet caviar, while the rest of us scavenge for expired coupons. The divide isn't just economic, it's existential. One class bathes in virtual paradises, the other trudges through digital sweatshops, praying a viral post buys enough quinoa for a week. Education pipelines collapse into digital quicksand. Tens of thousands enroll in AI career boot camps, coughing up $15,000 to discover half the classes are rehashed tutorials narrated by glitchy AI avatars. They learn Python today, quantum prompt optimization tomorrow, only to be told next week that new models rendered those skills obsolete. Student debt becomes a multi-generational tombstone. Parents co-sign loans, children inherit obligations, and entire families pray for a lottery ticket. Mental health spirals off a cliff. Anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation surge like kudzu in abandoned lots. Support systems, community centers, nonprofit clinics shudder under austerity. In their place, AI-powered mental health apps peddle CBT exercises and mindfulness pixel therapy for $20 a month. You pay for a robot that says, "I hear you," in a monotone voice as comforting as a tax audit. Sometimes the bot suggests you seek human connection, an ironic twist when you're too exhausted to hitch your tattered shoes. Politics devolve into gladiatorial spectacles. Populists roar, "Ban AI," while technocrats squeal, "Accelerate AI." Debates over ethical AI unfold as carnival attractions, banners, balloons, buzzwords, with no substance. Legislators propose bills on robot rights while ignoring human suffering. Lobbyists flood campaign coffers to preserve loopholes enabling corporate data and labor extraction. Public cynicism boils over. Teens whisper, "Why bother voting when bots pick our leaders now?" Yet amidst this toxic spectacle, flickers of resistance flare. Cooperative co-ops sprout. Neighbors share garden plots, 3D printers, and Wi-Fi routers. Freelancers form solidarity networks, pooling gig proceeds so no one starves. Barter systems revive. "I'll fix your plumbing if you teach me digital illustration." Maker spaces become refuges, teaching woodshop, ceramics, and textile crafts, ancient arts AI can't replicate. Storytelling circles nurture oral traditions, resisting a future where every story is an AI-generated simulation. Religious and spiritual communities reinvent themselves. Churches host digital Sabbath sessions. voluntary tech fasts, encouraging congregants to disconnect for 24 hours. Monasteries offer unplugged retreats, teaching mindful living without screens. Faith leaders preach Sabbath socialism, periodic communal restitution where wealth and labor are pooled in solidarity. They pledge no data tithes, refusing to feed algorithms with personal information. These movements cultivate solidarity, even if they remain scarce as water in a desert. On the fringes, hacktivist collectives rally under Tech for People, Not Profit. They code open-source alternatives to surveillance capitalism, decentralized social networks, privacy-respecting messaging apps, blockchain co-ops. They convene hackathons, 72-hour marathons fueled by pizza, Red Bull, and nihilistic hope, only to watch their brave solutions die within weeks, strangled by corporate firewalls, legal threats, and regulatory inertia. Philosophers and ethicists gather in virtual salons. What does it mean to be human when jobs, once symbols of identity, vanish overnight? Some propose the radical, universal creativity license, a framework asserting that every person deserves access to resources for art, leisure, and reflection, untethered from profit motives. But in a world where algorithms decree visibility, creativity is commodified, and leisure is scorned as unproductive. Panelists at the Institute for Postwork Futures debate whether AI might elevate humanity to a new renaissance, if only we can dismantle profit-driven control. They draw parallels to historical renaissances, where artists amassed patronage to explore philosophy, science, and art. But can today's visionaries summon patronage independent of venture capital? The whispers of a new utopia echo, humans as stewards of creativity, empathy, and pro-social behavior. Yet with each algorithmic tweak, those whispers grow fainter. In the end, retirement isn't merely postponed, it's redefined as perpetual possibility. A life where you determine worth outside profit margins, where community bonds eclipse corporate hierarchies, and solace sprouts from analog rituals. But that utopia is a long shot. First, we must survive the gauntlet of perpetual hustle, the nightmare labyrinth of algorithms that demand every ounce of attention. You've seen the last paycheck. The world still hums with demands for micro-content, instant replies, and UN-ending engagement. The machines never rest. They optimize. So, dear listener, drift off carefully. Your dreams are the only refuge from metrics, algorithms, and the unending grind. Sleep deeply, because when you awake, the exposure economy will be ready to devour you anew. The future of work is a waking nightmare, and even your dreams will be mined for data.